The Galactic Confederation survey ship hovered silently above Earth, its sleek hull reflecting the planet's blue glow. Inside the observation deck, Commander Trell studied the holographic display with his 4 eyes, mandibles clicking with interest. Fascinating. These humans have achieved spaceflight despite their obvious limitations, he remarked to the science officer beside him. Indeed, Officer Mulk replied, her tentacles adjusting the display controls. No natural armor, average strength, no claws or fangs. They appear quite fragile compared to most spacefaring species. The Confederation had discovered Earth 3 standard weeks ago. After careful observation, they decided these humans posed no significant threat to galactic stability. The 17 species that formed the Confederation classified all new civilizations by their potential danger. Humans would clearly fall into the lowest category. On Earth, Captain Q Park received the classified alert at the United Earth Defense Headquarters. Satellites had detected the massive alien vessel entering orbit. Unlike the panic portrayed in old films, Earth's governments had prepared for this moment for decades. Send the first contact team to the designated meeting point, Q ordered calmly, and make sure Director Ju receives all observation data in real time. The mountain clearing in neutral Switzerland had been selected years ago as Earth's official first contact location. As Captain Q waited with his 12-person team, the alien shuttle descended silently from the clouds. Its doors opened to reveal beings of startling diversity, some with multiple limbs, others with skin that shifted colors, and one that appeared to be made primarily of crystalline structures. "Welcome to Earth," Q said simply, offering the open-handed gesture their xenolinguists believed would be universally recognized as peaceful. The translator devices worked surprisingly well. The Confederation representatives explained they had observed Earth for some time and wished to formally invite humanity into their alliance of worlds. "Your species has potential," the crystal being communicated. "Though physically unimpressive, your technological progress is notable. The Confederation offers protection and knowledge to developing worlds like yours." Q maintained a respectful expression, betraying none of his thoughts about being classified as unimpressive and developing. After hours of discussion, the basics of the agreement were established. Earth would join as a protected Class 3 non-threat species, receiving technology, trade rights, and security guarantees in exchange for resources and cultural exchange. 3 days later, Officer Ju Kim walked the corridors of the alien vessel during the diplomatic tour. While others marveled at the advanced technology, Ju's trained eyes noticed different things. The ship's security systems were sophisticated but predictable. The crew moved with precise efficiency but lacked adaptability. Their weapons were powerful but designed for conventional warfare against known enemies. That evening, Ju met with General Ha in the secure underground facility beneath the Korean peninsula. The general's office was simple, with only a single window showing the night sky. "Your assessment?" General Ha asked, her weathered face revealing nothing. "Their technology exceeds ours by approximately 2 centuries, Ju replied. "But their military thinking is rigid, formulaic. They've cataloged us based solely on physical attributes." "And this is useful?" the general prompted. "Extremely," Ju smiled slightly. "They've completely underestimated our adaptive capabilities, our strategic thinking, and most importantly, our willingness to do whatever necessary to survive." General Han nodded, turning to look at the star-filled sky. "Humanity has always been deadliest when underestimated. The Confederation sees our physical limitations, but misses our greatest strength. Our minds." Ju finished. "Precisely. We accept their offer, learn their technology, integrate with their systems." General Ha picked up a small artifact recovered from the alien shuttle, a seemingly decorative pin that contained their entire tactical database. Earth's best hackers had cracked it within hours, something the aliens believed impossible. "And we prepare," the general continued, "not because we expect betrayal, but because the universe is clearly more dangerous than we imagined." If these Confederation species are peaceful traders, they'll never know we were ready for worse. 1 week later, Earth formally joined the Galactic Confederation with celebrations across the planet. Captain Q signed the documents as Earth's representative, smiling and expressing humanity's gratitude for being welcomed among the stars. That same day, far from the cameras, military leaders from Earth's United Nations received Q's comprehensive report on Confederation weaknesses and strengths. Special forces began training programs based on alien physiologies. Engineers started adapting Confederation technology for purposes its creators never intended. The aliens never noticed. They saw only what they expected to see: a grateful, somewhat primitive species, physically unimpressive, and eager to learn. They classified humans as non-threatening, and in doing so, made perhaps the greatest miscalculation in Confederation history. 6 months after joining the Galactic Confederation, humanity had established its first off-world colony, New Horizon, located on a habitable moon in the Alpha Centauri system, housed 4,000 settlers working to build Earth's foothold among the stars. Security Chief Sun monitored the colony's communications from Earth Command Center. Her console suddenly flashed red as an emergency signal broke through. "We're under attack. Unknown vessels." The transmission cut with a burst of static. Sun immediately alerted the Confederation emergency channel. The blue-skinned diplomat on screen looked concerned but not alarmed. "We've identified the attackers as fractions. They're a nomadic predator species that occasionally raids outlying systems," he explained. "This is unusual behavior, as they've never attacked a protected world before." "How quickly can you send assistance?" Sun asked, keeping her voice steady. "Our nearest battle group can arrive in approximately 3 standard weeks." Sun maintained her composure, but her knuckles whitened as she gripped the console. 4,000 civilians cannot wait 3 weeks. The diplomat blinked his 4 eyes apologetically. "I understand your concern, but the Confederation forces are positioned to protect primary worlds. We didn't anticipate any threat to a Class 3 protectorate so soon after admission." After the communication ended, Sun hurried to the crisis meeting where Director Jun waited with military leadership. "The Confederation won't help in time," she reported bluntly. Director Jun nodded grimly. "Then we help ourselves. Lieutenant G, your special tactics team is authorized for immediate deployment." Lieutenant G Park stood at attention. At 32, she was one of Earth's most decorated special operations officers. Her 12-person team had spent the last 6 months intensively studying alien physiology and technology. "We'll take the prototype stealth vessel," G said. "We can reach New Horizon in 4 days if we push the engines beyond recommended limits." 48 hours later, the Vraxians expanded their aggression. A massive battlecruiser, bristling with weapons, appeared suddenly above Earth's orbital station. The alien ship was twice the size of anything humans had built, its hull covered in what appeared to be bony plates. The Vraxian commander, his face filling the communication screen, resembled a reptilian predator with yellow eyes and scaled skin. "Surrender your orbital platform," he demanded without introduction. "Your Confederation protectors are too far to help you." The station commander, Colonel Da, responded with surprising calm. "We request time to evacuate civilians." The Vraxian laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "You have 1 hour. Then we take what we want." What the Vraxians didn't know was that humans had prepared for this scenario. While the evacuation shuttles departed the station, obvious and noisy, a small team of security personnel moved in the opposite direction, using the station's external maintenance routes. When the Vraxians boarded an hour later, they found the station seemingly abandoned. They began systematically looting technology and resources. Then, without warning, the station's atmosphere began changing. The Vraxians had pumped their own toxic air mix into the station to ensure no humans could have remained hidden. But they had underestimated human determination. The security team, wearing experimental breathing apparatus, had remained. As the Vraxians grew confident in their safety, the humans struck from hiding places, using specially designed weapons that exploited weaknesses in Vraxian physiology. Meanwhile, aboard the Vraxian battlecruiser, something unexpected was happening. The ship's systems began failing one by one. Doors opened and closed randomly. Warning alarms sounded throughout the vessel. The crew grew panicked, some even turning on each other in confusion. Unknown to them, Lieutenant G's team had returned from New Horizon after successfully evacuating the colonists. They had boarded the Vraxian ship during the confusion of the station assault, using stealth technology reverse-engineered from Confederation designs. The 12 humans moved through the massive ship like ghosts, placing small devices at key locations. These devices didn't damage the ship directly. They simply created sensory illusions that Vraxian biology couldn't process properly. The aliens began experiencing hallucinations, becoming unable to distinguish friends from enemies. 3 days later, when the Confederation battle group finally arrived, they found a shocking sight. The massive Vraxian battlecruiser was under human control. Lieutenant Jai stood on the bridge, directing her team as they navigated the alien vessel. The Confederation admiral could hardly believe the report. "You captured an armed Vraxian battlecruiser with only 12 soldiers and handheld weapons." Jai nodded simply. "We observed that Vraxians rely heavily on hierarchy and clear sensory input. We disrupted both. Without their command structure, they fell into confusion." The admiral studied the human with new respect. The Vraxians are feared throughout 3 sectors. No species has ever captured one of their ships intact. "We had people to protect," Jai replied. "We did what was necessary." That evening, the Confederation Security Council met in emergency session. A species they had classified as non-threatening had accomplished what their military considered impossible. Perhaps they realized too late physical attributes were not the most accurate measure of deadliness after all. The Confederation Biology Council convened in their circular chamber. 17 representatives gathered around a holographic display showing detailed human physiology. Dr. Nara, the council's leading xenobiologist, directed the presentation with growing concern. "After the Vraxian incident, we conducted more thorough studies of human capabilities," she explained, her violet skin reflecting the blue light of the display. "Our initial classification was severely flawed." The display shifted to show videos of humans in various activities: running marathons, climbing mountains, swimming long distances. First, their endurance exceeds any prediction models. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. No other intelligent species developed this trait. Counselor Vrith clicked his mandibles nervously. "Many species have greater speed or strength, but none can maintain activity for such extended periods," Dr. Nara countered. "A human can run for hours, even days with minimal rest. And this video shows their capacity for operating in extreme conditions." The display showed rescue workers in freezing mountains and scorching deserts. "Most concerning is their response to stress," Dr. Nara continued. "While most species experience diminished cognitive function under threat, humans often demonstrate enhanced problem-solving abilities when facing danger." One council member stood, her crystalline form catching the light. "Are you suggesting reclassification?" "I am suggesting we completely revise our classification system," Dr. Nara replied. "It clearly fails to account for cognitive and adaptive capabilities." On the diplomatic station Harmony, Ambassador Min observed the subtle changes in how Confederation representatives treated the human delegation. Where once there had been polite condescension, now there was cautious respect, even wariness. "Your handling of the Vraxian incursion was unexpected," admitted the Confederation diplomat across the table. Min smiled politely. "We simply used available resources creatively." "That's precisely what concerns us," the diplomat replied. "You've been using our technological gifts in ways we never anticipated." Before Min could respond, an aide rushed in and whispered urgently to the Confederation representative. The diplomat's color drained visibly. "The Vraxians have returned," he announced. A fleet of 67 battlecruisers has just attacked the Proxima system. They've also hit Sector 12 and the Illyrian colonies. Min processed this information quickly. That's a coordinated attack on multiple fronts. They're targeting Confederation supply lines. The diplomat looked surprised at Min's immediate strategic assessment. Yes, our defense grid is designed to respond to attacks sequentially, not simultaneously. This will significantly reduce our response capability. You need a new strategy, Min suggested. One the Vraxians won't expect. 3 hours later, Min stood in the emergency command center with leaders from 7 Confederation species. The holographic display showed Vraxian forces advancing through 3 sectors with minimal resistance. The Vraxians have studied our defense protocols, explained Fleet Commander Zor. They know exactly how we'll respond and have planned accordingly. Min studied the display thoughtfully. May I speak with your tactical team? When granted permission, Min approached the Confederation strategists. Your current defense doctrine is based on overwhelming force at key strategic points, correct? The lead tactician nodded. It's been effective for centuries. Against conventional enemies who fight the same way you do, Min pointed out. The Vraxians have adapted. You need something they haven't encountered before. Such as? The tactician asked skeptically. Min gestured to the display. Human military history is filled with examples of smaller forces defeating larger ones through unconventional methods. We call it asymmetric warfare. For the next hour, Min outlined concepts alien to Confederation military thinking, guerrilla tactics, psychological operations, decentralized command structures that could function even when communications were disrupted. This contradicts all established doctrine, protested one officer. Exactly, Min replied. That's why it will work. The Vraxians have studied your playbook thoroughly. They've never seen ours. After intense debate, the Confederation leadership made an unprecedented decision. Admiral Ta from Earth's Defense Force was given temporary command of a combined fleet to implement the new strategy. As the meeting concluded, Min overheard 2 Confederation officers talking quietly. I've analyzed their history, one said. Did you know humans fought wars against themselves for thousands of years before achieving unity? That explains much, the other replied. They've had more combat experience in their brief existence than most Confederation species have in their entire histories. It's not just experience, the first officer said. It's their thinking. They have a concept called total war that no other species developed. When truly threatened, they mobilize their entire civilization for conflict. Let's hope we never witness that firsthand, his companion answered. For now, I'm just grateful they're on our side. Min smiled slightly as he walked past. The Confederation was finally beginning to understand what Earth's military leaders had known since first contact. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been its technology or physical strength, but its mind and indomitable will to survive. Admiral Ta stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Dauntless, now the command center for the combined fleet. At 52, she had never expected to lead an alien armada against a hostile force, yet here she was. Around her, officers from 7 different species worked at unfamiliar stations, trying to adapt to human battle tactics. The Vraxian fleet will reach Proxima in 6 hours, reported her Confederation second-in-command, his blue skin contrasting with the red alert lighting. They outnumber us 3-1. Numbers aren't everything, Tay replied calmly. She gestured to the tactical display. We'll split our forces into 5 battle groups. Groups 1 and 2 will engage directly, drawing their attention. The remaining groups will circle behind using these gas clouds for cover. The alien officers exchanged worried glances. In Confederation doctrine, dividing forces against a superior enemy was unthinkable. Admiral, protested the Silari commander, his crystalline form shimmering with concern. This violates every principle of space combat. Our ships will be outgunned if separated. Precisely, Ta said with a slight smile. The Vraxians will expect you to follow Confederation tactics. When you don't, It will create confusion. Confusion creates opportunity. Despite their doubts, the Confederation officers followed orders. As the massive Vraxian fleet approached Proxima, they encountered what appeared to be a disorganized, desperate defense. The Vraxian commander, seeing easy victory, committed his forces to a full frontal assault. That was when Tai sprung the trap. The seemingly retreating ships suddenly executed a complex maneuver that no Confederation vessel had ever attempted. Deliberately flying through the corona of Proxima's sun, the specialized shields developed by human engineers held just long enough for the ships to emerge behind the Vraxian fleet, attacking their vulnerable engine sections. Simultaneously, small fighter craft piloted by humans executed what Tai called impossible trajectories, deliberately shutting down gravity compensators to achieve turns that would incapacitate any Confederation pilot. The Vraxians, faced with enemies that didn't behave according to any known combat doctrine, began to lose formation coherence. "Keep the pressure on," Tai ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt." On the ground, the situation was equally surprising. Colonel Dai led the combined ground forces defending the main settlement on Proxima I. Rather than establishing a defensive perimeter as Confederation doctrine dictated, Dai had scattered his forces in small, mobile units throughout the rough terrain. When Vraxian dropships landed their troops, they found no central force to engage. Instead, they faced constant harassment from all directions. Human soldiers taught their alien counterparts techniques developed over thousands of years of warfare on Earth. Ambushes, false retreats, and psychological operations that left the enemy confused and demoralized. "Never attack where they expect," Dai instructed his mixed species squad. "Always be where they aren't looking." The tide turned when the Vraxians launched a desperate assault on the civilian evacuation center. They expected minimal resistance at this soft target. Instead, they encountered Captain Young's last line of defense. Young had positioned his troops in concealed bunkers, creating a killing zone that the Vraxians marched directly into. The battle was fierce but brief. When it ended, the evacuation center remained secure, but at heavy cost. Many defenders lay wounded, and the medical facilities were overwhelmed. A Vraxian commander, captured in the fighting, watched with disbelief as human medics treated injured enemies with the same urgency as their own wounded. "Why waste resources on enemies?" he asked Captain Young, who was personally applying a pressure bandage to a young Vraxian's wound. "They're not enemies now," Young replied simply. "They're patients." Later, when a Confederation observer asked the same question, Young's answer revealed more. "We fight harder than most species precisely because we understand the value of all life. Our history taught us that lesson through countless tragedies." In space, Admiral Tai's unorthodox strategy culminated in a decisive moment. The Vraxian flagship found itself isolated from its support vessels, surrounded by smaller human ships that should have been easy targets. Instead, these ships executed a complex dance of coordinated attacks that systematically disabled the flagship's weapons and engines. When the Vraxian admiral finally surrendered, he requested to meet the commander who had defeated him. "How?" he asked Todd when they stood face to face. "How did you predict our every move?" "We didn't," Tai explained. "We simply created a situation where it didn't matter what move you made. That's the human difference. We don't just follow plans, we adapt when plans fail." The Battle of Proxima became legendary throughout the Confederation. For the first time in centuries, they had witnessed something new in warfare: innovation, adaptation, and a strange blend of ferocity and compassion that seemed uniquely human. "They fight like demons," one Confederation commander commented, "yet show mercy like saints. I still don't understand them." "That," Admiral Tai replied, "is our greatest advantage." The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Confederation gleamed with ceremonial lighting as representatives from all 17 member species gathered for an historic occasion. At the center of the chamber stood a small group of humans, looking almost fragile compared to the varied alien forms surrounding them. Supreme Counselor Vrax, his crystalline body catching the light in prismatic patterns, addressed the assembly in solemn tones. "Today marks a fundamental shift in Confederation doctrine," he announced. "For 10,000 cycles, we have classified species based on physical attributes and technological advancement. Recent events have proven this system dangerously inadequate." On the massive display behind him appeared footage from the various battles against the Vraxians. Human ships performing maneuvers that defied conventional physics. Ground troops adapting tactics in real time. Medics saving lives that Confederation doctors had declared unsalvageable. The Confederation unanimously votes to reclassify humans as a Class 1 specialized defense species, Vrax continued. Furthermore, humans will now co-lead the Combined Defense Initiative alongside the founding races. Commander Juan stepped forward as Earth's representative. At 38, she had risen quickly through the ranks following the Vraxian conflict. Her small stature and quiet demeanor often led others to underestimate her, a mistake no one in this chamber would make again. "We accept this responsibility with humility," she said simply. "Earth remains committed to peace, but we will help defend the Confederation against any threat." Later that day, Professor J addressed the Confederation's Scientific Council. Unlike most human military leaders who had gained respect through the recent conflict, J had earned her position through her groundbreaking work in xenopsychology. "For millennia, your civilizations evolved assuming physical attributes determined threat levels," she explained to the assembled alien scientists. "You developed technologies to compensate for biological limitations, creating a remarkably stable society." She activated her own display, showing early human history. Humans took a different path. We remained physically vulnerable, but developed our minds as our primary weapon. Our history is filled with conflict, which drove rapid adaptation and innovation. What you see as unusual tactical thinking is simply the result of thousands of years solving problems under threat of extinction. A Confederation psychologist raised a limb in question. "Yet your species shows remarkable compassion alongside this capacity for violence. These traits seem contradictory." Jay smiled. "That's perhaps our most important adaptation. We learned that survival isn't merely about destroying threats, but about building connections. The strongest human societies were those that balanced protection with cooperation." 6 months later, long-range sensors detected something that sent shockwaves through the Confederation. An immense swarm of unknown vessels was approaching from beyond charted space. Early data suggested a hive mind species that had already consumed 3 galaxies in its endless expansion. In the newly established Joint Defense Command, General Yu reviewed the threat assessment with a mixed team of human and alien strategists. The command center hummed with activity as officers from a dozen species worked together with an efficiency that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. "The hive operates on completely different principles than the Vraxians," Yu observed. "Their collective consciousness makes them immune to many of our psychological tactics." His Vraxian second-in-command, once an enemy and now a trusted advisor, nodded in agreement. "Their numbers are also far greater than anything we faced." Yu studied the tactical display thoughtfully. "Then we adapt. Lieutenant Suk, what's the status of the new shield technology?" The young engineer looked up from her console. "The prototype is working, sir. We've successfully integrated Confederation energy fields with human modulation algorithms. The hive's cutting beams should be ineffective against it. And the communication disruptors?" Yu asked another officer. "Ready for deployment, General. The human concept of electronic warfare has proven highly adaptable to quantum communications." Yu nodded with satisfaction. Around him, the combined knowledge and creativity of multiple species had created defense systems that neither humans nor the Confederation could have developed alone. As the massive defense fleet moved into formation, Yu found a moment of quiet reflection with his Vraxian colleague. "When we first met your species," the alien admitted, "we thought you primitive. Even after you defeated the Vraxians, many still feared you. They saw only your capacity for violence." "And now?" Yu asked. "Now we understand. Your true strength isn't your deadliness, but your adaptability. not just in war, but in peace. You've changed our entire civilization in less than a standard year, taught us to question assumptions, to innovate rather than rely on tradition. You smiled as he watched human officers working seamlessly alongside beings from across the galaxy. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson from Earth's history, he said. Real strength doesn't come from dominating others, but from bringing out the best in everyone. Finding strength in our differences rather than fearing them. As the combined fleet prepared to meet the Hive, the Confederation faced the greatest threat in its history. But for the first time, it did so not with fear, but with confidence, forever changed by the species they had once classified as non-threatening.